Charchan?
Creedence.
What is it?
Creedence.
Creidence. Ms. Creidence, you're charged with hindering apprehension. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be pointed to you, ma'am.
Officers observed a vehicle in channel view of an individual they knew by sight to have active warrants and attempted to commence a traffic stop. The individual evaded and the officers lost sight of the vehicle, but located it at the individual's parents' house. The officers spoke to the parents, who stated that the individual's wife, the defendant, picked him up right after he abandoned the car at the residence. The officers visited the defendant's house and spoke with her. She told the officers that she was aware of his warrant for AFM because she was the complaining witness in that case. And she told officers that she dropped the defendant off dropped the individual off at a nearby gas station. The officer spoke to the gas station clerk who knew the individual by name and appearance, and he told the officers that he had not seen the individual at all that day. The officers again asked the defendant for the individual's whereabouts. The defendant changed her story several times, hindering the individual's arrest.
The husband or boyfriend?
Yes, they're married.
And so you warrant for an AFM.
Right. So I think the officers in channel view knew who he was. And
Do you have a cause number for that, for the complaining witness? I guess he's not really a complaining witness though.
I do, for a moment.
And would that be a co-defendant? No, just a complaining.
So he had the warrant for the AFM, and then he picked up an evading with the vehicle, and also an ag assault with a deadly weapon charge on the 25th as well. But I have the cause number for the AFM.
Yeah, I'll give it. Let me have it.
So 253-0303.
Press. Did you tell me what the aggravated assault was about? Or did you not say that? Because it looks like all this is out of the same transaction.
So for the AFM, that occurred on the 21st.
Okay.
Obviously the newest ones are felonies, so these occurred on the 25th. I'm not sure about the ag assault, but if you'd like. I think it was the defendant. The defendant in that case was walking around a trailer park where the complaining witness lived, and the complaining witness was walking up to his trailer front door. The defendant knocked and pointed a black pistol at him. The complainant left and provided a description, and then the officer located the defendant at a nearby gas station.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with this person. You understand? With a Carlos Garza Perez, you're not allowed to have contact with this person. If I find that you do, I'm going to revoke your bond. I'll put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds out of here. Tell me, what do you do for a living, man?
I work for Maximus, a veteran-owned company. I'm a medical bookmarker.
Okay. How much money do you make a month?
I make $17 an hour. I make about $2,500 a month.
Who do you live with?
I live by myself with my children.
How many kids you got?
3.
Are any of them Mr. Perez's kids?
Yes, 2 of them.
Do you want to apply for an appointed lawyer, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. We will give you an application, ma'am. Don't have contact with this person. Please. I mean, you can see that it's just dragging you down. You know, I get it that you have kids, but he's now got 3 charges. He's looking at $100,000 bond on the aggravated assault, and just no. I'm also ordering you not to be in possession of weapons as well. Okay. I'll have you go to Stephen's going to give you an application for the appointed lawyer. Victoria's going to have you sign a reset, and then I'm going to have you take a seat in the jury box. Do not leave until you sign our bond conditions and until you've met with the lawyer. Okay. Okay, ma'am, please. Morning, Mr. Roberts Clay. Sir, you're charged with 2 cases. You're charged with failure to stop and give information, and you were charged with evading arrest or detention. On the evading case, you're facing up to a year in jail. On your other case, you're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
September 24th, 2024 in Harris County, Texas. Officer was dispatched to assist another officer at the Teddy's Food Mart gas station on East X Freeway regarding a small child that had fallen out of the back of a car as the driver kept driving. The second officer arrived at the scene and observed that the defendant was talking with his girlfriend, the witness, while she was holding the child from the accident in her arms. The defendant then quickly exited the gas station parking lot when he saw the officer parked behind him. The defendant then drove westbound on Cross Timbers Drive and ran a red light as he attempted to turn northbound at the intersection and struck a Toyota RAV4, which is the complaining witness in this case. The defendant then tried to grab the items from his vehicle and flee the scene of the accident on foot. The defendant ran past the officer's patrol vehicle back to the parking lot of Teddy's Food Mart and was then detained by officers. The officer spoke to the complaining witness, who advised that the damage to his front bumper was approximately $1,000. Defendant advised he ran from the scene of the accident because he wanted to check on his child.
The initial contact was, you said someone fell out of a car.
That's what it looks like, Your Honor. It looks like the officers were dispatched to this gas station. I think somebody else called that a child had fallen out of a sedan, like at the gas station. And from what I understand from this, that was the defendant's girlfriend's car.
There's no accident or due to a child being unrestrained, is it?
That's not in this case. The accident was caused in this case with this complaining witness by the defendant fleeing from the gas station and running the red light.
Okay. Mr. Roberts Clay, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Do you have a valid Texas driver license, sir? I want you to understand that there's nothing that chaps my you-know-what more than when someone drives without a license and insurance. Do not drive. I don't care what you have to do in your life. I don't care where your kids got to go. I don't care what you need to do. If you don't have a license, if you don't have insurance, don't drive. There's no faster way to get your bond revoked and making it very, very high than driving and breaking these bond conditions. Do you understand? This is an affidavit that you're going to sign with me right now. This is a promise that you're going to make to me today that you're not going to drive. And if I find that you drive, I can have a contempt hearing, hold you in contempt, slap you with 180 days and a $500 fine every time you drive. It will be an offense in and of itself. So take this to heart. Do not drive. Do you understand? And I would hope that the girlfriend who is driving or whoever has that car has those kids restrained in the proper restraints as kids should be. There's a certain weight limit and age that kids have to be in a certain type of car seat. And if you don't, you're putting their lives in extreme danger every time you guys get into a car and drive. I don't want you to, I'm just giving you friendly advice now. I'm going to tell you, I left my school yesterday and I see a lady in front of me, two kids, probably 2-year-old and a 3-year-old in a car, unrestrained, and she bolts out of the parking lot of the elementary school. Kids are just jumping in back and she's just weaving. I nearly lost it because it unnecessarily puts kids in danger. Don't put lives in danger. Now you're not to drive at all. And if I see you drive, holy moly, I'm going to lose my shiza. Do you understand? Tell me, what do you do for a living? What is was? Why? Are you still working there? Why not?
Laid off.
Because what were you doing? What kind of seasonal work were you doing there? Okay. You don't want to apply? I mean, you could get really great benefits by working at the post office.
I just got laid off, that's all, because it was season.
Okay. So what are you doing with yourself now?
I'm trying to get my driver's license and drive trucks, basically what.
Okay. When did you get laid off from the post office?
And then,
We're now in October. It's month 10.
probably 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Okay. You need to get a job. And I'm making that a condition of your bond as well. How many kids you got? Okay. That child needs to eat. That child needs clothes. And if you're not working, you're not providing, and you're not being a good father. Do you understand? I will have you sign an app, or I'm going to have you, I will give you a lawyer today, but I'm going to bring you back here in 2 weeks and I want to see what you have done to get a job. If you've done nothing, life is just not going to go well for you and me. Do you understand? Mr. Roberts Clay, one more thing. I will drug test you 40 days from today. And if I find that you're using any kind of illegal substances, I will revoke your bond and put you in jail.
Oh, I
You-
did get a muscle relaxation yesterday.
Okay.
Shot from the doctor.
If you have a valid prescription, then you can take, but there is no valid prescription for meth, cocaine, and you're not allowed to use marijuana. Do you understand? Okay, come on. I'm sending you for a drug test right now, Mr. Cifuentes. Let's see what, if anything, is in your system. You must come right back. If you fail to come back, your bond will be tripled. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, take a seat for me. I don't know.
The documents that he has no longer say no contact with Benjamin Cifuentes, so I assume that they've been.
The bond conditions haven't been established, that's just so designated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did it so I could send it for a drug test now because he had a bond violation. The bond violation was
Order in the court.
picked up the new case.
Right, and so that was the day I was appointed. I believe you revoked his bond on that day.
Mr. Cifuentes, guys, keep it down, please. I want you to understand, every time you pick up a new case, every time you do something to violate the bond conditions here, you subject yourself to having your bond revoked, doubled, tripled, quadrupled. I'm going to do everything in my power to protect this county at all costs. And if I have to put you down kicking and screaming, I'm okay with it. No more smoking weed. Do you understand? You will.
I've been stopped, it's just been 30 days.
Okay, I get it, but from the first time that we tested you, I'm giving you 40 days. And if you test positive at the next time, I'm keeping you yet again. So he picked up the case when? The 17th of last month. So 40 days from that day, don't use, don't smoke. You better look at every single thing you put in your body. You understand? Okay, Sam, what do you want?
So his father is the complaining witness on the terroristic threat, and I believe that there's currently no contact with the father, and they've done a rip call. He doesn't want charges, and he wants the no contact dropped.
Obviously, fathers, right?
So he's currently staying with his cousin. He's in high school.
You spoke to
Right,
dad?
we've conducted a RIP call. The counsel is correct. He still wants to have contact with the defendant.
What's your position? Are you okay with it?
Um,
I mean, look, this is what I'd like to do. Look, I'm going to issue a protective order now. I'm going to admonish him now. If you could let dad know that a protective order has been issued, the parameters of the protective order so that he knows if Mr. Cifuentes starts acting up out there, that a violation will occur. He'll pick up a third case. And then at that point, we set bond it, what it is. Very high. I'm issuing now what's called a magistrate's order for emergency protection. This is a court order that identifies Benjamin Lee Cifuentes as a protected. Shh. You cannot commit family violence or an assault against this person, commit an act in furtherance of an offense under section 42.072 of the Texas Penal Code, which is the stalking statute. You cannot threaten, harass, use another person to communicate a threat or harassing behavior. You cannot be in possession of a weapon. This usually comes with a residential restriction. I will take it off so that he can go back to the house. But you need to understand what is threatening or harassing doesn't matter what you think. It's what he perceives. So if you go to that and you start going like this, is that threatening, harassing? It most certainly is. So be careful, because in his house, it's his rules, not your rules. Do you understand? Okay. So I'll allow the contact because Dad wants it. We issue the protective order. This includes no weapons, Mr. Cifuentes. He gets tested, 40 days from that one date, and then we go from there.
Is there a way to specify on the protective order? So I know it's 60 days versus 90 days for whether a weapon was or was not involved. In this case, are we saying that a weapon was or was not involved? Because there's no weapon, but
I don't know.
I just want to specify so we know whether it is in effect for 60 or 90.
It doesn't look like there was an actual weapon involved.
Regardless, I will also file no threatening, harassing, and no weapons so that outlives the MOAB. So he cannot have any threatening, harassing contact throughout the life of this case.
I only ask because I've asked the state to evaluate, and so I'm hoping that this case, the dad's already said no contact. I'm hoping that the case goes away. I know that the MOAB will outlive the dismissal, so I just wanted to check on that. All right, thank you.
Sam, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, good morning, Mr. Laredo. So is this it's a second DWI?
Yes.
And he was lucky enough to get into the PTI program.
Yes, Judge.
This is really a big shame, Mr. Laredo, because when you have one DWI, they don't let you get into this diversion program because this gives you the opportunity to get this case dismissed. Once you have one DWI on your record, that usually excludes you. And I don't even know how you got it, but somehow she worked her magic and got you into this diversion program. And now they're kicking you out. That's it. What you need to understand is this DWI now will reflect as a conviction on your record. With your record, if you ever get into a car and have the even remote, faint smell of alcohol, an officer, when they pull up to your car, they're going to look at your record. What do you think they're going to do?
Joe?
No. Prison.
Joe?
You are now looking at up to 10 years in prison. After today, you will have 2 DWIs on your record. So you get pulled over, have even the remote smell of alcohol, an officer will charge you with a 3rd DWI. And now you're looking at prison time. No more jail, no more days, now years, perhaps a decade, depending on the facts and circumstances of the case. What I'm trying to impart to you is that you should never get into a car, even if you've had a sip of alcohol, because you could lose many, many years of your life. We have way too many people dying on our streets in Harris County. So even the smell, that's it. What exactly did he do here?
They had him, well, the TRs recommended he goes to a community residential program. While he was participating in the community residential, he tested positive for alcohol. So he alcohol.
At an actual residential place?
Well, when he reported to the officer that drug tested him and he tested positive for alcohol, so they were saying because he's in residential and testing positive for alcohol, he needed to be monitored at a higher level, and there was able to be that part of the PTI program.
So what are we doing now?
We're gonna recommend another TRAS, and then they have all of the standards, like the victim impact, DWI, repeat offenders, and effective decision making.
What's your immigration status?
No immigration status now.
You know what happens if you go to jail, right? What happens?
Deportation.
Right. Who do you have here? Who depends on you here? Who?
My wife,
Who else?
my two daughters,
Wow. How old are your daughters?
19 and 14.
Ugh. I'm going to tell you now that at 14 and 19, especially with the 14-year-old, this is the most delicate part of their lives. And if they meet the wrong person, it's really going to be a tremendous headache for you. And not only for them, but their lives could truly spiral out of control. So what you need to do, you need to imagine if you go to jail, immigration puts a hold on you, you will be stuck like Chuck for at least 9 months. And I'm going to tell you now, you're not here to help them out. They may resort to other people for love and support that you may not agree with. So next time you think when you're out there of making some kind of move that could really put you in jail, what you probably should be doing is thinking about that 14-year-old daughter or that 19-year-old daughter, what's going to happen if you're in jail for a year. They may find love and support in a place that you don't like. I'm going to tell you now that whatever the TRAS recommends, that's what I'm going to do. Because the clinicians that you speak to are better served by recommending what needs to happen. All I want to do is protect my streets, and I'll do it at all costs. And if that means putting you in jail, okay. So when you're out there, think about what you're doing. So are we doing an 18-month or what are we doing?
It's 1 year.
It's a 1-year probation. What else?
Effective decision making,
Okay.
5 victim impact panels.
5 victim impact panels.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
A DWI repeat offender course,
good.
random urine analysis, no refusals, no drugs or alcohol.
Okay, hold on a second.
Sorry.
When she means no breath test refusal, what that means is that if you were in a car and you were driving, you get pulled over, an officer asks you to submit to a breath sample, you must submit to a breath sample. If you don't, you are in violation of this probation. As it stands now, me, as part of this agreement, I'm going to suspend your driver's license. You're not allowed to drive. And I'm going to tell you, if I find you driving, holy moly, I will hit the roof with how upset I'm going to be. Do, for any reason, Mr. Laredo, do not get into a car and drive. What else?
No drugs or alcohol,
Okay,
the guardian's interlock.
okay. Well, I'm sure he has one now, right? Does he have, what does he have now?
It has an interlock.
Okay.
No, it's in his vehicle.
Okay.
It's in the car.
Okay, I'm suspending your license today, so you're not allowed to drive. You need to understand that you're gonna have to get a portable device and then once you get the portable device, we'll take it off your car, but you're not allowed to drive. Okay, what else?
And then 10 hours of community service.
What I will do in lieu of the community service, if he does a parenting class, then I'll waive the community service. But I think instead of picking up trash on the side of the road, I think we're better served by him taking the parenting class.
We're suspending the license for 1 year?
2 years.
2 years.
Let me tell you, Mr. Laredo, you're extremely lucky that you're not going to jail today, but you're not out of the woods because depending on what the TRAS says, they may recommend inpatient treatment. And if they do you understand? If you violate this probation, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. I'm going to put you in jail. And then you're now looking at an entire year. Is it 180 or is it a year?
A year.
You're looking at an entire year in jail. Do you understand? If I were you, I would do everything in my power to do whatever I need to do to stay out of jail, because if you go, you will get an immigration detainer. So if you have an alcohol problem, you better address it. You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. Once you plead guilty, that's it. You can never appeal this or take this away. Is this what you want to do, sir? Your other options, you can set this case for trial.
So the option for probation.
How do you plead to the offense? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
I will find you guilty. I will sentence you to the agreement. You're skirting extremely thin ice. I would be very careful. That ice breaks, your butt's going to freeze. Good luck to you, Mr. Lorena. Thank you, Ms. Pima.
Thank you, Judge.